Hello everyone, welcome to today's lesson. In this video, we will continue talking about theories of language acquisition. Today's theory is mentalism or nativism. This theory was developed by Chomsky and it came as a reaction to behaviorism. These theory or behaviorism theory which neglected the role of the mind. So Chomsky claims that every normal human being possesses an inborn capacity which enables them to learn or acquire any language they are exposed to. So, for Chomsky, it is not the environment that helps the learner or acquire to learn a language or acquire a language, but something that they are born with, a capacity that they are born with, which enables them to acquire language. Language acquisition is innately determined. That is, any human being is predetermined to acquire language, and we are genetically predisposed to acquire language. This genetic capacity is triggered through being exposed to language in a social context. Okay, Chomsky refers to this innate capacity as language acquisition device, LAD. For him, every human being is born into society with LAD. That is, every human being is born into the society with this LAD, which enables him or her to acquire any language. LAD is responsible for language acquisition without any need for the social environment. So, for Chomsky, LAD enables us to learn a language without any interference of environment. LAD enables the child to acquire and master their native language in a very short time in spite of the highly abstract nature of rules. Although a human being might get exposed to limited and impoverished data, they will come up with a complex structure of language due to that. So for Chomsky, human beings, uh, even though sometimes they are exposed to limited data, that is, they live in a society in which data is limited, impoverished, that is, they don't get exposed to rich input, etc. So, however, they come up with a complex structure of language. They come to acquire language, acquire the rules of language that are even complex because of LAD. So LAD helps children to acquire language, even though they get sometimes exposed to limited and impoverished data. And then after this, Chomsky was attacked by the fact that a child was put in jungle and did not acquire any language but just sounds because he was exposed only to sounds. Okay, later on, because of this phenomenon, later on, Chomsky revised his theory and added exposure to lead. So that is, at the beginning, he was only talking about lad that is responsible for language acquisition. And then, because of this phenomenon of the child that was put up in jungle and did not acquire language, he added social environment to lad. That is, the environment is very important in the sense that it is what activates and triggers the inborn capacity. So for Chomsky, now it is both society and lad. Okay, so society activates lad in children and they acquire language. Lad was then referred to as universal grammar. It is an endowed capacity which encompasses all linguistic features and aspects of human language. Universal grammar permits a child to acquire, learn language during a particular developmental period. Okay, so universal grammar for Chomsky consists of principles and parameters. Principles refer to linguistic aspects and elements that all languages share. For example, consonants, vowels, verbs, nouns, adjectives, adverbs. All languages have these. Okay, so they are all common among languages. These principles are distributed and classified according to each language parametric variation. Okay, so we're talking about parameters. Put differently, all languages have consonants, vowels, verbs, and adjectives. That is, all languages have these principles. However, these elements are classified differently in each language system. So the distribution of the principles differs from one language to another in accordance with the parametric variation of each language. So principles are, for example, nouns, adverbs, okay, verbs, etc. But the distribution of these is language specific. That's parameters. So parameters refers to the distribution of principles. To conclude, cognitivism or nativism, also known as cognitivism, or cognitivists like Chomsky, claim that the child is born with innate properties of languages which enable them to master their mother tongue, that is, their native language, in a very short time in spite of highly abstract nature of rules. Thank you very much for